And when you put those together, speech, truth, purpose, and virtue, what you have is logos. Logos is the Greek word for word. Logos, the word, is the basis of the Western tradition. It means word, but it also implies truth and reason. Reason in both ways that we use that word, like reason as the purpose of something, like the reason why he's wearing a crown is because he is king, but also reason in the sense of logic. You can see the word logos in the word logic. But we have to understand that logos, reason, purpose is the reason why there's anything at all. It is the marker of all any identities, any object, anything has a center which holds it together. It could be a pen, it could be happiness, it could be anything. It's what holds the multiplicities of those things into what makes you see it as one. That's the logos. And so logos is not only the center of meaning, but it's also the mediator of all these differences, the mediator of all the opposites. But also plunging into the waters, into strange hybrid amphibious forms that we've all taken, finding that golden path, finding the truth, the purpose of our lives, of our families, and walking on that path of logos, we will become upright, forthright, and active participants in our own lives and in our community and in our country and whatever it is that rallies us together.
Because one of the things, for example, like even if you take Jungian ideas, right? There's a sense in which we have this problem, which is that, intelligence seems to be the characteristic of humans. And so even in the old world, they would ask questions sometimes like, are the gods, do they exist? Are there a projection of us? Like a projection of our own psychic, our psychic thoughts and our own structures of mind, And so there's actually a legitimate concern about that and a legitimate question, but that gets solved in the incarnation because it's in some ways you could say, this is a crazy thing, but it's totally orthodox, by the way, is to say that the man Jesus Christ created the world.
Yes.
And like St. Maximus says crazy things. He says, when Christ was on the cross, he was creating the world. And so it's like, exactly. that solves, people don't realize just how many problems that solves, even in terms of metaphysics and in terms of understanding, the nature of the world and how we don't have to deny the fact that intelligent categories mirror through the human mind. It's actually not a problem. It's actually our role. It's actually what we're there for. That's what God created us, is to be that intermediary space between the invisible principles and the indefinite aspect of the world. And so, but that culminates, right? So it's like the whole structure is like this structure that points and points and points. And so just like in you, let's say there's that noetic aspect, where it all comes together and you have that space, the eye of the heart where you can encounter God. All the cosmos also has that same structure. It's like it points. Right. And then when the figure of Jesus Christ appears, it's like, that's it. That's the point. That's that point where it all comes together and it's objectively real in the story. You can see why it's real in the way that Jesus interacts with people, what he's doing, all the different prophecies that he's kind of bringing together towards the cross. And it's weird because then you see in scripture, right, it talks about the idea that, the lamb that was sacrificed before the foundation of the world. And so the cross is actually revealing something. Like it's not just an answer to sin. It's revealing a very deep mystery, which is actually the very origin of creation itself.
Within computer science and biology, nowadays people use that kind of terminology. They use computer language in biology, and they use ordinary language about words in computer science because there's a very intimate relationship. In that, I think what many biologists say to me, and in reading their material, that it's word-like in the sense that the DNA letters code for the amino acids which code for,
Yes,
that's
yeah.
the word, which code for the proteins, which are the building blocks of life. So if you like to say it's an analogy, but it's an extremely powerful analogy, because at the very base level, you're communicating information. Now, this is a difficult area.
Yes.
I'm very well aware that if you ask me, what do you mean by information? It's like so many things. We don't exactly know how to define it.
Yeah.
It's like Augustine said about time. Everybody knows what it is until they're asked to define it.
Yes.
It's one of those things. But one of the things I believe that has come out of physics, although that's debated up to today, is that information, in the sense of we live in an information-based world, is not derivable from physics and chemistry. Now, that to me is a massive block in the way of a materialistic explanation of life, mathematics, everything else. Because if information is not in the end material, then no material explanation is going to work for it.
The closer we get to the foundations of physical reality, the more we rely on analogy, right? Even the atom structure is a model, right? It's an ever-evolving, educated guess shaped by the patterns that we observe. In reality, it's a symbol representing an invisible reality. So it's deeply analogical and even symbolic at its root. In a similar way, we see the universal principles, the universal patterns that we call logi or symbolic patterns or archetypal patterns. We see them indirectly through analogy. But what is the analogy precisely? We're observing our reality, right? The stars, the sun, the moon, the plants, the animals, the birds of various forms, the humans especially, right? And each of these reveals something unique about this higher realm, so to speak, right? About their specific pattern, their logos, about their cause, God, the Logos.